Okay, hey, Ken here, and in this video, I will talk about your LinkedIn background image, give you some tips for making sure it looks good, get your message across, consistent with your brand, and fits right with the mobile devices and the laptop, and then there's also the tablet. So laptop, tablet, and phone, I should say. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm talking about. The LinkedIn background image, they call it. Here's mine on my LinkedIn profile. Here's the profile picture, me, my hand on my chin, and here's the background image. Um, if you put the mouse over here and you click that little pencil thing, that's where you can actually change it. They call it background photo, technically. Other places, like on Facebook, they call it, I think, a cover image. So there are different words for this thing, but it's technically called the background photo. And this is a good opportunity to give people a feel for who you are, your brand, what you're about. And some people like to put wording in here to have their slogan, their tagline, benefits. Some people who are more marketers can put a lot of copy in here and kind of jazz it up. But to me, it's more like jacking it up, making it a bit messy. Marketers, pure marketers love throwing words everywhere and highlighting everything. Designers love making things beautiful. LinkedIn wants this, doesn't want you to make a mess out of this image. They give you, the ability to choose the images you put here. The last thing LinkedIn wants to do is make a mess out of their platform, which is why I don't recommend putting like a whole. When you see marketers, they put it's like almost a whole thing of text up here. And yes, it's primary real estate to get your message across and get attention. But I think in general, I think a smart move to make is to play well with the medium you're on. And the more you try to make it something else, they start to put rules in place, terms of use limitations, etc. Because what you're doing is kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say sabotaging, but kind of like making the medium less desirable to be used. It's like pop-ups back in the days when they threw all kinds of pop-ups on websites. You could do it, but then it makes the website less usable. So what happens? You get pop-up blockers everywhere. Anyways, my take on good marketing, good design, good usability is to take advantage of the space to communicate a feeling for your brand, to have images consistent with your website, your message, your business. If you have some wording in here, make sure it's legible and doesn't make it a mess. Those are my takes on it. You want to look like a professional, not like a mess. So from a design perspective, purely, to this LinkedIn banner often gets kind of messy for people because this LinkedIn background photo, I should keep saying, because they often put text in here that your face kind of overlaps. And oftentimes when you look at it on mobile, like I'm going to squeeze this down. Squeezing your browser down gives you a bit of a quick glance of what it looks like on a mobile device. A tablet is if you squeeze it down a little bit, like about there. A phone is just going to be one column. You squeeze it all the way. And you can see in my background image, it's still good. I squeeze it down. You can read it. You can tell what it is. Designed to attract is the message there. I go to a tablet. It's still pretty good. It's more two columns here. Still good. And if I go to a desktop, it's still good. So what I'm going to do, I was going to show you some other profiles of people where their banners have made a mess. And I've refrained to do it because, I don't want to make anyone else look bad. And then they'd be like, hey, don't use your video. I'm like, ah, oh, poo. So let me make my profile look bad. And I'm not gonna make it look. What I'll do is I've made some banners that are common, tricky ones to do, where the image kind of gets messed up. So here, let me upload a new image. I'm going to upload a new photo. Change photo. I'm going to upload one. I have a couple of example ones that kind of what not to do. So here's one where the wording is too wide. So I upload this image. You'll see someone it's like a header for like I don't know, a piece of paper or like some of a banner for a website without any menu or something like that. So oftentimes people use an image used on their website, just stick it on their LinkedIn profile and have a go, which seems like a good idea, except it doesn't really exactly fit right. So here it is, straight across, and often you'll see LinkedIn background images where the text goes all the way wide. What's really good about this one is that it is readable because the font size is big, and if I squeeze this down, the font size is still quite readable. But you can see my image covers it, so it's getting messy. You can't read it. It looks like something was designed wrong. Not the end of the world, but you could do better. So let me also what I did, by the way, this is white text, and I put a subtle, soft, dark background glow around the lettering so it's legible. I go to Photoshop, and let me just show you where is it? I don't know where I put it. I was working on a design file here. Give me a moment. Okay. Yep, here it is. So I was making some example headers not to do. And so what I was saying a moment ago, if you make text on top of an image, what I did was it's called a drop shadow. If I take away the drop shadow, and your designer will know what to do with this, or if you're doing it yourself, look for drop shadow or glow. If I take away the drop shadow, you will see this becomes harder to read because it's text on an image and there's no separation. See that? Now the text is over the image, and while the font is thick, so you can kind of still read it, it's much better if you put a background drop. And if I take away this other shadow, now you really can't read it. Basically, I got some shadowing going in here to make it more readable. And thick fonts are better here too. So if you go for a thin font, let me make this font thin or even squiggly, and I take away the drop shadow and that. Now it gets much more difficult to read. So thicker fonts with shadows helps the make it readable. Okay, so just a quick tip there. Let's go back to here. Um, Let me also make a another banner type that also is a little tricky to make. Oh, it doesn't really work well. Go back to my profile. Oh, by the way, as I go to my profile, you can see also your background photo is also used when it's really small. Like when you first land on your when you go to log into LinkedIn, now my face is centered and now the thing is behind it. So this is where it's gonna get tricky. So any text here is really gonna get covered. So that's where it gets a bit messy. But let's go back to let's make the other example banner that I wanted to show you. Okay, oops. So here is another one, and then let me upload another image. Often people put a lot of text on there, so let's do it. They put a lot of text and they put it small, which is readable on a desktop, but it's not readable on a mobile device, and it looks hard to read. And often they'll put their logo in here. So here, it's somewhat readable. You see my logo there, and I'm getting my branding across and all this stuff. Um, so I see a lot of profiles. They want to get their logo in there and just start stuffing things in here, maybe credentials, and it gets to be a bit messy. But here you can see it's still legible. But if I shrink it down to mobile, if you look on the left, now it gets small, and now it's too hard to read. So you can see on a mobile, it just gets messy real quick. And this isn't even too much. I've seen other ones with a lot more text on it. So you have to be careful that. And the good thing is that it is to the right, so that my face doesn't overlap it. So it is kind of visible if you squint your eyes and look closely. And let me also do my profile, and let me actually just put just a straight image, no text, which I often like, especially if the image, if it's a well chosen image and it fits your brand, it fits your, it matches your website. Maybe it's an image you use on your website, or it has the colors and feel, which is good. So here's just an image. And yeah, it's just a desktop. It's you can see someone writing, being productive, coffee, laptop, some wood here. And I'm a web designer, so it looks like, maybe it's his desk. And then when you get to know me more, you know that I often do a lot of work. I do it out of a cafe or nice co-working spaces, so I get that, flexibility, mobility, focus on my work. So that works with my website and my brand. So actually, let me pull up my website. You can see, I think this image I use on the home page. I definitely use cafe shots. I used to have it. Is it down here? Yeah, here it is. The bottom of my home page, I have the image here. So again, it repeats. And I often use this black and a bit of wood. Now, here's a woman in a cafe. Here's a desktop, laptop cafe, working, co-working space, home office. Here's me in a cafe. So you can see that it's just all consistent. So when you go from one to the other, oh, this is Ken, that's his thing, that's him. Yes, good, blah, blah, blah. It's all good. By the way, down here, I should fix this up. This font, on the background is a little bit tough to read once it goes over the lettering. Not terrible, but when it's over the background image, you can see it starts to become more difficult to read. The background is very light, so it's not so bad, but that could be better as I critique my own stuff. Okay, and so let me also pull up one more image. And what I did was, here was the first one we looked at, designed to attract the messages there. That's cool. And if I shrink it down, it still shows, but it is kind of small. Let me make that more pronounced and more prominent. And what I did was I just zoomed in on that message, designed to attract clients. So let me actually upload an image, that image. Where is it? Nicer. So I did this one and I zoomed in more on that wording. So let me pop that in there. And I'll probably leave this on my profile. So here it is now, and here it is with more zoomed in on this. I did have to tilt it a bit so that it fits. So maybe that's not better. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Debatable, but it is much more readable. It's easier to read, which is cool. It is a little dizzying, that angle. I think the straight line laptop one works better. But I hope I have it on my desktop. Let me put the other one back. I don't think I have it. I'll have to go dig it up later. I don't know where it is. But anyways, I'll leave that for now. The various angles do break up this section, so it's kind of nice. It does break up the horizontal and vertical lines of the page, but it is a little dizzying. I look at it. Anyways, let me pull up actually a client of mine, Lisa, and she'll be happy for me to mention her on this video, and I'll probably put a link to it. Recently updated her LinkedIn image, as we're going to be doing stuff on LinkedIn. Her LinkedIn background photo. So let me pull up her website. Whenever I do help a client, go on a new platform or approach a new, like you do a trade show and they have to have a visual, I like to make sure that it's consistent with her messaging, her website, and the colors work. So this is Lisa's website, and we use this image right at the homepage, just someone helping someone. Very helpful message. Here she is. Here's her photo, as you can see over here. And here is the image. So we wanted to use this image, and the colors are blue and a bit of yellow gold. So I use this image on her profile, but the thing is, the reaching arm, this image is landscape, meaning that it's wider than it is tall, but it's not as landscape as I'd like it to be, because in LinkedIn, it's very landscape. This is a very wide, long image to be used on your LinkedIn profile. So you can see the arm is here, but I added some blur to the left to make the image wide. if I had scaled this up, even zoomed this in even more, scaled it up more, this person you would not be able to see. So it's a little tricky. And then I added her message, your health and fitness results together. And I made it small and put it here because when I did it bigger, it overlapped the arm and you almost couldn't see the arm. I put it where you can see it and also see the person there. So it's tricky. Getting the image and wording together and fitting right can be tricky. There's a few things to juggle. Just a plain image by itself is kind of nice. Um, I like that often as long as the image is fitting to the brand, the message, the vibe. Um, but so here's this one I was just talking about. And if I scale it down, this is the key thing. It really works well on a mobile device. You can see here. We have her face, we have the message, very readable, even though there's a background image, and then there's the helping hand. So great, it works all very well together, readable, visible. It does feel a little small and floated in the middle here, so that's something. But with the LinkedIn, you only get one image, and it's got to work in both environments. I couldn't have a different image here. They don't give you an option for mobile image versus desktop image versus tablet image. Okay, so some tips for your LinkedIn background image. Let me pull up my face again. And let me just summarize the tips. So for your LinkedIn background photo, you want to make sure that it's consistent with your brand. Maybe use an image on your website. Make sure that if there's wording on it, that it's legible. And if you have to use a shadow or a tint in the background, if the text is on top of an image, especially a complicated image. And also get that image over to the right. I don't know which way is right when you look at this video, but get the image over to the right, the wording over to the right, so it doesn't overlap your photo when you look at it. And what was I going to say? Finally, yeah, make sure it looks good on mobile and desktop. So be sure to shrink down the screen, even pull up on your phone to see how good it looks, and you'll be able to, yep. And then you'll be looking like a rock star on LinkedIn, updated and current, and your message will come across. Okay, Ken Schroeder, web designer. If you have any thoughts on this, comments, you like some of these things, you have thoughts that make it even better, don't like some of these things on here, just post below. Love to hear. This is how we learn. This is how we get better at things. We share, get feedback, live and learn. Okay, until next time.